Peace. What's good, y'all? On this end, it's the same old story which is on with the show. Captain's log start date is the 10th of November, year 2013. Time right now is 25 after 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard. Actually, 10:25, excuse me, a.m. Pacific Standard on the West where it's best. And today is Sunday. Ordinarily, we would do Sunday school lessons, but today we're going to fall back and do something just a little bit different since the time changed last week. We're going to go ahead and fall back and just do random thoughts. Everything that I've been sharing with you as far as video and a lot of times as writing as well, it just comes off the top of the head, and that's how we keep the authenticity intact. But today we're really just going to give it some random off the top of the head thoughts that I want to put out into the atmosphere. See what yours are. You can form your own. That's what we do at pimpop.com. Get our own beliefs and opinions in order so we can operate and be on the same page. I got a few notes, but just going to keep it simple because there's only three, and that's just so that we don't ramble all over the place. But random thoughts, that's how we bring things into creation, just as it is at the time being. So I do appreciate you tuning in because this post is of extreme importance, in my opinion at least. So let's see what yours is. Justin Bieber. At the Cat House, legalized prostitution is the fix for Obamacare, starring Gabby Del Campo. For going off the top of the head with a subject like that, sensationalism, Justin Bieber, Cat House, prostitution, Obamacare, and Gabby Del Campo. I'm going to go ahead and make sure there's some steam coming out. So let me rub it real quick and see what we can come up with together. First and foremost, I'm sure if you've been watching the news or reading the internet news, you're familiar, whether you care or not, with the whole Justin Bieber in South America adventures, and his visits to the brothel, cat house, whatever you want to call it, spending some time in company with some of the workers down there in South America, Brazil, Panama, the list goes on and on. I guess lately he's in Argentina stirring up some trouble. But one thing that I did notice, and this is from Twitter, if you're on pimpop.com, you can see this picture of Gabby Del Campo and her Twitter account showing her earnings for a job well done and her appreciation for herself, and Justin Bieber's generosity on Twitter. If you're not on Pimpop, you're going to have to make your way over there to check this out. She did a good job, and interestingly enough, Twitter disabled her account. She's a popular celebrity now due to her decision to show her earnings and count her blessings. Twitter, for whatever reason, their reasons are theirs, they went ahead and suspended her account. So I guess she's going to have to find somewhere else to share the good news about her works. And for now, and maybe in the future, well, let's just say what it is, that can be right here at pimpop.com. Call it a black person thought, black man thought, do things the easy way. With Twitter, just turned a $50 billion valuated company. They just went public last week. For whatever reason, they suspended her account. Maybe it's because it was dealing on the subject of prostitution. Shame on you. But the goal of profitability for most internet businesses is to generate the highest amount of traffic as one possibly can, give the users a free service, and you're bound to somehow, some way, magically make some advertising dollars due to the sheer amount of numbers of people that are using the service. It's the same with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. One day, somehow, some way, it's going to make some money. Hasn't really shown a clear profitability yet, but someday, some way it will. So I guess it's a gamble. We can call it Las Vegas. On this end, my type of thinking is doing things the easy way. And I would say I would actually delete probably 50,000 or 50 million of the users and swap them out with a user like this one here, which is Gabby Del Campo. Because when it comes to profitability, chances are the person that you're targeting is going to have the money to spend. What you see is what you get. Although she's in Brazil, I'm looking at some brand new $100 bills on the Twitter account, a fat stack of them as far as that picture is concerned. And then the other picture, she got some old-fashioned ones. Don't see my ones, don't see my guns. She's laying in a pile of American dollars, and they're counting them up down there in Brazil. And I don't know, it's kind of a do what works thing. But get to my notes. That's just something that needs to be brought to the light as far as what takes place on the internet. The United States of America, supposedly, according to American propaganda, is the wealthiest, most prosperous nation on the planet that actually has a high amount of debt at the same time. But the web services that service the whole world, they come out of United States of America, primarily California, primarily Northern California, showbiz in Southern California. But for whatever reason, out of all those sites, sometimes Facebook has this kind of approach too. They disabled uh, the proceedings of the working girl. And I think that has to do with what we call white people thoughts. But that's a generalization, stereotyping, and I don't like to have people do that to me, so I'll just be more specific and call it Caucasian American value system type of thinking. But the world is bigger than just America, and if you've had a chance to travel or are familiar with people in different countries, they have different views about the subject of the oldest profession in the world. Some might be pro, some might be anti, but there's no real energy and effort placed into the suppressing of it because it's been there since the beginning of time. It is there at this time and it's going to keep going there. And I guess Justin Bieber was caught supposedly coming out of the cat house, and there's some kind of damage control, or it looks like it works to his advantage as well as Gabby's, because it generated a lot of traffic and probably some more tourist interest in South America and Brazil, even more than there already is right now, even though for whatever reason prostitution is legal in Brazil and other South American countries, and pretty much in quite a few places all over the world. If it's not illegal, it's rarely, if ever, enforced. People feel like they have resources to dedicate to more prevalent and destructive things in the society. But in America, it's different. Even our neighbors to the south in Mexico, all the way up to Canada, it's a whole different viewpoint. But I think Americanisms, as far as businesses are concerned, we need to learn how to think more globally and get out of Caucasian American cultural belief systems and values that are supposed to be a framework for everybody on the planet. These particular countries, they don't have problems with fertility and mortality. Actually, they're booming. So if it works, why try to fix it? Just do what works. So that's what I'm going to set into the atmosphere today. Gabby and the rest of the like all over the country. Definitely want to have you as the stars of the show, because that seems to be the natural order of operations, and that's the first thing she did with the Twitter, which is to make it valuable by posting her earnings. And she has the same needs and wants for attention as any other young woman that's doing the same thing, but she seems to be getting a different result, and it's a result that I like to see. What you see is what you get. So that's point number one. Point number two, yeah, I know. Let me look at it. Yeah, sex trafficking, definitely not cool. There's a big debate and fight against sex trafficking and underage prostitution. And I agree with that because I think a woman needs to be of a certain age, maturity, so that she can make her own decisions in regards to what she wants to do with herself and her body. That's my stance. At the same exact time, if a woman is of age, like this particular young lady, Gabby Del Campo, and she made her own decisions as far as what line of work she wants to enter, and it's legal, I think there needs to be a focus on making that work better as opposed to always trying to fight against underage prostitution and sex trafficking. They say if you focus on something, whether it's good or bad, more of it will happen. So I think what she's doing is good, and we can just shift the focus over to what actually works. And in my opinion, that's what works for the greater good of society. And we support that cause. I support that cause, and I'll stand by that 100% as far as doing what works, as far as a more globalized mindset. But yes, I am aware of the whole negative stigma and stress involving underage prostitution, sex trafficking, sex slavery, anything that's done by force and coercion and not by free will. But if it's for free will, just like this is a free will operation, I'm all for it and I support it. But that gets back to what it's really about. Is it a social stigma, or is it a subject of legalities and what's right and what's wrong and whose belief is the actual correct belief for everybody? Uh, what other points can we make on that? Because I know I opened up something. Yeah, in regards to that in America, of course, I have to tie that in because I did state Obamacare. What in the world does Obamacare have to do with prostitution? If you really look at the Obamacare initiatives and the whole process of getting it actually to where it is now, you'll see much of it, much of the debate had to do with women's health, women's body, and a woman's right to choose what it is that she wants to do with her body, whether it's reproductive, having to do with sex, so on and so forth. I think ordinarily we can trace that back to the oldest profession in the world because let's say in America she has some kind of occupation, whatever it may be, exotic dancer, whatever it may be, just outside of a corporate setting. There's a lot of young entrepreneurial women in the world these days taking advantage of the power of the internet. But one thing that's not being offered is health care. But interestingly enough, due to this new law, it is available, and somebody's got to get the word out to those particular women and maybe let them know that in large part it is focused on them, the ones that are actually having the money to pay for the services, the insurances, as well as having the needs. Some women have children, some women have family members that they have to take care of, but nonetheless, just let's say entrepreneurial women who need health care in the United States of America, just like these ones in South America, is here for you. If I might say so myself, sometimes a person's got to state the truth and be non-political or unpolitically correct, but truth at the same time. So that's point number three. What other point was I going to make? Talking off the top of the head. Don't have a time limit today. Do have a little bit of battery life left. So if I had my way, I've done numerous posts and sharing publicity for actual working girls. I would have a actual place where it doesn't have to be down in the dumps. They've got some high end, that's a buzzword for what white people are doing, Caucasian people, high end establishments where they have the luxury television and bedroom settings and hotel settings and spa jacuzzis and state of the art facilities for the same exact purposes. I would see fit to have that somewhere where Justin Bieber or some celebrity of the like could actually go on vacation, pay a higher rate, maybe even put on a performance. It's been known to happen in Hollywood. You've had some major celebrities that do intimate shows like Prince in a room that only holds maybe 600 or 700 people at most, packed in Hollywood. Just charge a higher rate. But once again, it's just off the top of the head, but it's actually more about liberation and getting our minds to work in a way where we think outside of the box known as one country, and looking at it from a global perspective and different cultures mashing in together. But like I said, it's easy for me to say I'm a man. Woman is woman. She has her own views about what she wants to do with her time and her body. But I would question where prostitution is actually criminalized in the Constitution, the institution of prostitution as told by the Constitution. If we might say something as crazy as that, of course, you had people like Thomas Jefferson and uh, sex labor, slave labor, same labor. I mean, it's a pretty horrid story, but it's the truth and it's the facts and it's how things worked out and a large part of how we got to where we are now. But that just says a lot about it. The law and what it entails, people's views uh, in regards to legal pot, marijuana, cannabis were of a certain type of way in a prior time, but studies have just recently came out to show that it's a whole totally different outlook now. Same with same-sex marriage. I would say that the most prevalent order of business to get the economy going and functioning properly is taking it back to the oldest profession in the world and maybe send this note to the president. That's why I got my special shirt on today, kind of communicate that message, maybe something that a black president could see past and actually just really look into that more in depth. Let's get the institution of prostitution legalized, structured healthcare, everything, the whole shebang. Start back from the roots. If you want something done right, it's got to be built on a solid foundation, and the foundation of it all is what you see up on pinpop.com as we speak. And off the top of the head, I would just say views change about things based on the time, but some things are eternal, and what you're looking at is one of them. As far as all the suppression and backlash and social stigma, I think those people who think those thoughts were relevant towards a certain time where things were that way, but things are changing. First and foremost, the color of the skin of the first family. Some people now say perhaps in 2016 the actual gender of the actual officer in charge, the president. But we could go on and on. Like I said, this is just random thoughts, but imagine if I could just sit in my backyard and run a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar organization just by focusing in on the truth, which is that the demand actually is what gives birth to the supply. necessity is the mother of all invention. So, what we have invented, I give thanks to those who have put that out into the atmosphere so that we can actually move it forward. So, other than that, let's get set for the week. Let's set new big challenges for ourselves. Let's make the abnormal normal and move towards evolution, but not get philosophical. Just keep it at a state of victory and moving forward in peace. One love all around the world.